What's up, my friends, family, and frenemies? It's your girl, Dr. Shonna, and I am live tonight, late night on YouTube. Why? Because I got something to say. Now, you guys all know she only goes live when she has something to say. And tonight, she has something to say. We got a lot to talk about. So, y'all come on over, come on in. As you know, before we get started, let's just say what needs to be said. And it's real quick and simple. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You got to hit that little subscribe button and then hit the bell. Choose the word that says all so that you can be notified when I am going live. That is important. The second thing you have to do is hit the thumbs up, like the video. Now, I know some of my frenemies and my haters are going to hit the thumbs down, but that's okay. You have been bamboozled. Hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs down, don't matter. Just engage because it's all about algorithms. And then the last thing I want you to do is share the video because tonight, as you guys know, when I go live, I'm giving you guys some food for thought and I'm giving you guys some information that you can research on your own. Do not believe me. Don't take my word for it, but you must read on your own. Now, some more housekeeping. If you are the kind of person who don't like to read and you like to just go by what feels right for you, you know, the kind of people that like feel good politics, this is not going to be the show for you because I'm not here to finesse and caress your feelings. This is not one of those shows. This is a show where you are forced to think. And I understand that a lot of people don't like to think. So instead, they try to throw insults and they try to be distracting. But that's why my moderators, shout out to all the moderators in the room. That's why my moderators are so important here in this conversation because they block, ban, and delete people like you. And that's why I love them. I can't wait to hold a meeting after this whole COVID so I can meet many of my moderators in person and just give them all my thanks, my love, my accolades for them and treat them out like we tend to do at the Black Agenda. We treat people out. So we really do love that. Thank you so much for that donation. Dwayne, he says, Bronx love all day. My sister is bringing those receipts tonight. You know I got the receipts, Dwayne, and BX all day, every day, right? So I love that. So let me go ahead and give my thanks to the people who have donated to me. I like to acknowledge you all. I don't like to just go about my day and not say thank you because without you guys, a lot of things that I do for the community would not be possible, like offering people lower fees for services. So I do that because of the donations that I get in and which makes it possible for them to get into therapy with me as opposed to fitting a $200 bill. So I appreciate you guys. So I want to say thank you to Dylan Turner. Dylan is always donating. Thank you for her. I want to say thank you to Donna, and I don't know this Capella, Capella. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Black Mama. Thank you to, of course, William, because William always donates. And thank you to Eric Moore. These are the people who are recently donated. I want to say thank you to you all. And then I have a thank you to someone on PayPal who has donated. So let me go ahead to say thank you to her. Give me a second while I bring up her name. I want to say thank you to her to acknowledge her, which my PayPal donations I tend to forget to go to because it's a whole different app. So I want to say thank you to Teresa Smith. Thank you so much for your generous donation. Much love to you. To all my ladies who have joined the Iris Women. We're so excited. Classes on Saturday. I want to say thank you and welcome to our community and our family where you got to bring your therapy pen, your therapy notebook, because in our relationship coaching, you get some real information that if you apply it, you see that it works coming from the doctor herself. So I want to say thank you to my newest members in the Iris Women group. And if you want to know how to get in touch with the Iris Women group, just go to theiriswomen.com. theiriswomen.com. That's theiriswomen.com. So you can learn more about that relationship coaching group for women. And I think that's about it. Yeah, I think, and all my community members that are actual members on this page, thank you so much for joining. As you know, this weekend, I'm scheduled for a lot of videos. So you guys are going to get a lot of content and a lot of training to help you get up out of this white supremacy madness. And I look forward to speaking to you guys. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So, oh, look at my sisters on. Michi X, what's up? Had to check out that Food J today. Oh, Michi said she had to check. Okay, so Michi, I gotta watch your video. I've been watching your little pop-ups on Instagram and your little statements on Facebook, but you know, I gotta go ahead and watch what you did down in J. I know you brought the fire, so I love that. I'm gonna watch it and support you as always, my sister. Let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to talk about the unemployment extension and what that means for the Black community and what that means about the Black vote. We have to have this conversation. So y'all make sure y'all get your pen and paper. I don't know if any of you guys know, but on August 8th, it's important for y'all to know, the president of somebody's United States has authorized an enhanced federal unemployment benefit. Now, you know, previously, the authorized enhanced benefit was at $600 weekly in addition to your regular unemployment stipend. And you know that has expired at the end of July. Done. $600 payments stopped. No more. So the House and the Congress and everybody else on the floor has been going back and forth about this new bill. And what they came up with was half of the $600. So now they're going to be giving people who are collecting unemployment $300 extra. Now, here's the little change that y'all got to be aware of. It's a whole FEMA application that has to be set out. And the states have to fill out the applications to send it in order to get the monies to pay their residents the additional $300 on top of their weekly unemployment rate. Some states have already been approved and they're trying to work out logistics to get this money out there, right? Whereas some states have turned down the assistance. So some people are not going to get the $300 additional monies. And I know of at least one state already who has started it. Now, those people who are out of work and receiving at least $100 in unemployment, that's the minimum, $100, they all will qualify for this additional $300. And when the checks are going to start going out is largely unknown. So there are still a lot of people who do not have enough money to survive. Oh, people, y'all know I'm going somewhere with this. So y'all just make sure y'all sit in your chair, put on your seatbelts because we're going for a ride today, okay? The only state that I know right now that's handing out the additional $300 is Arizona. Here's another thing you need to know. That some states, they have the opportunity to match the $300 with an additional $100 to make the stipend, the emergency crisis stipend, $400. And so far, the only states that have guaranteed their residents $400 is Montana, Kentucky, North Carolina, and West Virginia. Y'all know how many states there are in America, right? So only 4 states have said, yes, we would do this. Everybody else is either saying no or I don't know, but they don't plan on giving you the extra $100 anyway. Then you have a state like New York City. Do y'all know how expensive it is to live in New York City? I mean, those in California, yes, somebody's already putting up this. Soul Man, you beating me to the punch. Soul Man is already up on it. Those in California can probably relate to how expensive it is to live in New York City. But the governor of New York has said, no extra $300 for you all, because A, this is illegal. That's what Governor Cuomo was saying. This is illegal. And B, he doesn't trust FEMA. So y'all not going to get an extra $300 in your unemployment stimulus package. Then you have South Dakota, who says, nope, we don't need it. We're doing just fine. And we have an 80% job recovery rate since the pandemic, as some people will say the pandemic has started. Now, the reason why I preface this video with that is because you got to understand that I am the voice for the disenfranchised. I am the voice for the underdog. I am the voice for the people who generally do not get heard. I am the voice for the people who tend to get discriminated against, not only by the powers that be, but by some people in their own community. So no one is really thinking about what these people are going through. So we're going to have a critical discussion about this. And then we're going to have a critical discussion about other conversations that are going on right now in the world, particularly as they pertain to the Black community and the Black vote. Because I don't think enough people are having these conversations. We hear the same voices over and over again, and we hear the same bullies over and over again. And I think that we have to address the same dry ass voices we keep hearing and the same bullies we keep coming up against. So here's what we need to know about what's happening. I want y'all to think about people who have lost their income, people who have bills that need to be paid, people who were not suffering as much when they were employed, people who did not ask to be unemployed, people who did not ask for a handout, people who were waking up every morning to go to work, just like those of us who are blessed to still be working, feeding their family, paying their bills, and being responsible for the most part, right? Because we all of us have some irresponsibility, but for the most part, being responsible, holding their own, taking care of their business. And here you have it. Jobless Americans, all types of Americans. I haven't even got on Blacks yet because you know I'm going there. But jobless Americans don't really care about what's going on politically as much. They care about making their next meal, making their next bill, keeping their cars from being repoed, keeping their children in housing as opposed to being evicted, having to live on the streets in shelters or with family members. This is real stuff that's going on. They are traumatized. They are depressed. They are anxious and fearful. There's a lot of psychological damage that is going. There's a lot of trauma that is new in a lot of people in our communities, as well as traumas that have been triggered or re-triggered. And no one's really talking about these things. No one's even talking about the fact that having these unemployed people means that there is reduced spending. And if there are reduced spending, there is a hurt economy. And so when there are a hurt economy, the hurt economy affects all persons, except for like the super rich, right? The people that don't give a freak about what's going on with us. But I'm talking about, I'm the voice for the disenfranchised. So when I say all persons, I'm talking about the people that think that they're doing their goddamn thing. And thank God they still got their housing. And thank God they're still feeding their children. And thank God they're still paying their mortgage or their rent. And thank God that they're still being able to meet their health insurance needs or their car insurance needs or their children's privilege needs. Thank God. So when you have that kind of mindset of people, they don't necessarily sit back. I'm not saying all. Let's make that very clear. They don't necessarily sit back and say, well, damn, this is what's happening to me. But what is happening to those people who cannot go to work or who have been subjected to permanent job loss because of major downsizing or the closing of the business? Somebody said, I just noticed the full bar in the left-hand corner. Well, we just had a celebration at my house. So typically that's not there, but we just had a celebration at my house. My daughter made 22 years old, and she's also a college graduate, a recent college graduate, and she is also an employed young adult making a nice penny. So we celebrated. We had a party, and the aunties, which are my best friends since I was like 11 years old. So we got 30 something years on us and more. We all came through. We all cooked all the food, and we let her and her friends enjoy themselves because, COVID is robbing a lot of people of their social life, but our family needs their social lives. Thank you so much, Princess Deborah. She says, I'm just stopping by, showing a little love. I appreciate that, Princess Deborah. It says Princess Deborah TV. Put your website or your channel so people can follow you, Princess Deborah. So going back to the economy, I want you guys to understand where I'm going with this. People are in a bad condition. We have a lot of haters who feels that the people should not be getting extra money on top of their unemployment. And the haters are usually employed people of all races and all backgrounds, right? They're usually employed people who have something to say about people who are getting additional monies. But that money is temporary. And this crisis that we are in is not temporary. That crisis that we are in is going to take some time to come out of. That crisis that we are in is creating additional traumas in our community, specifically the ADOS community, specifically the quote unquote so-called Black community. This is where the trauma is being felt. This is where we're seeing the most damage happen. And we have to start having a conversation about these things, right? Because the extent of human suffering is not being captured very well. They're not showing you exactly what's happening. But see, if you're somebody who goes into the community, if you're somebody that people will naturally come to you looking for guidance or assistance, you know what's really going on, right? When you think about the working class and the non-white neighborhoods, when you think about them, you got to understand that these communities are the communities that are being hurt the most in this situation. We have permanent job loss that's going on, but nobody's really talking about that. We have furloughs that are occurring and no one really knows when the people are going back to work. We have people increasing their debts by the minute because they are living off of credit cards. We don't really understand the impact this is going to have on all of us. We have people either in fear of losing their housing or right now they're being subjected to evictions because the moratorium has been lifted. And now you can actually evict people. You understand what I'm saying? But it's a bigger scheme going on, people. I'm about to get down into that. There's a bigger scheme going on. And we continue as a community, and I'm talking to my people, as a community, we continue to get sidelined and sidetracked by things that don't really matter. I'm going to tell you what those things are in a second. Thank you for that donation, Nate the Great. Nate is saying, hey, Shonna, glad to catch your stream again. I never understood why politicians are speaking what is best for us as a people when these same people get paid millions of dollars. Also, keep up the good work, says much love. Much love to you, too. But, Nate, you're going where I'm going, right? This is why I have to be the voice of the people. This is why my sister, Michi X, has to be the voice of the people. This is why we have to speak on behalf, because who is listening? But I'm going to tell you how we're going to get people to listen. I'm going to let you know how we're going to get people to listen. Because what I see right now is our community. The reason why our communities get hit the hardest and they suffer the hardest because we don't have equity to pull from. Not only do we not have equity to pull from, we don't have the political capital, the social capital, or the economic capital to pull from. We have been slated as the permanent underclass. And we're spending a lot of time fighting and arguing with people who are just distractors, people who don't goddamn matter. We spend a lot of time addressing crazy ass people that love to gaslight us. We spend a lot of time focusing on those folks. That's a mistake. That is a major mistake, right? We got to get out of that because this whole pandemic is creating a new set of problems for us. We just climbed out of a hole from 2008 where other people recovered, we're still recovering because we lost our wealth overnight. And now, boom, this hits us. This hits us. And is yet again another barrel to climb up out another hurdle to face. And in that barrel, we have all types of people in that barrel, and all types of people in that barrel are crabs. So we're wasting time arguing with people who don't understand who we are and what we're doing. See, those of us in business, we know we only speak to our audience. The other people, they're distractions. We don't speak to those other people. They just want attention when they try to detract us from or distract us from what we're talking about. They just want attention. And we keep wasting time. We don't have the time to waste, because here's what's happening, people. Y'all hear me clearly. Here's what's happening. This has created a new set of problems. This is what you're going to have to look forward to. And this is why when I get into the Black community and I vote and why it matters, this is why. This whole pandemic is creating a different type of competition in the labor market that we are not accustomed to, that we were not ready for, because some of us, let's just be honest, people, let's just be honest, some of us were sleeping Negroes. I'm just telling you. We got comfortable. We got comfortable and we got relaxed on certain situations and certain issues. And you know what? You got to understand, when you are in war, you cannot relax. When you are in war, your mindset remain critical, and you have to remain 3 or 4 steps above or in front of the enemy. Like I said in the other video, not only must you know yourself, you must know the enemy. And we have been comfortable allowing other people to speak on our behalf. We have gotten comfortable allowing other people to tell us what is best for us. We have been comfortable allowing other people who state that they have our best interests at heart get away with murder. We have become comfortable with not holding people accountable. And guess where we are right now? The competition, the new type of competition. You know how that show says orange is the new black? Oh, baby, the color has changed. The color has changed. The level of competition now, we're not ready for it. Some of us have outdated skills. We have no certifications. We have no license. We have no higher levels of degrees or education. We don't have nothing that we bring into the table other than what we have been doing for the last 20 to 30 years. And many of those people have found themselves unemployed. Oh, we are in a different new world order, baby. Somebody said, like me, I'm telling you, do I not know this? Right? Because if you study long enough, you'll uncover all of this. It's all in the books. It's all in the data. It's all in the research. We just got to discipline ourselves to pick up and read this stuff every goddamn day so that we can stay ahead of their strategy and their next tactic, because we are in war. Here's a new problem that is going to create is a new set of employment discrimination. Oh, I said this before. Thank you for that donation, Employee of the Month. I said it before. Trump had passed a recent executive order that states he was relaxing some of the job qualifications and job criteria for some governmental agencies, right? And a lot of people super happy about this stuff. And I'm not saying it's wrong. On the surface, it looks right. But if you understand the enemy, and if you understand how America has worked for so long, then you will understand why you need to question it. Then you will need to understand who is going to represent you if you are locked out of the opportunity to benefit from some of these jobs that's about to become available. Who is going to represent you? When I say who is going to represent you, I'm talking about your elected officials. Who is going to represent you to make sure the government is doing what they're supposed to do? Who is going to make sure that the pay doesn't get lowered? See, the one thing we know for a fact that we have to pay attention to is the pay. That is a whole nother set of problems it has created. Those people who are employees, who depend on their employers to meet their everyday needs, ought to be concerned. Because there are so many people entering the job market at higher rates that's going to be competing for your job. The only thing we know that's for certain and for sure is the unemployment, the minimum wage. We know that is for certain and for sure the minimum wage. But when it comes to as many people entering or re-entering the job market who need employment, and you're asking for X amount of dollars, and the next person who comes behind you are asking for $5 less than what you asked for, who do you think is going to get the job? Because right now, everybody's hurting. Everybody in this economy is hurting, including employers. So when it is about them trying to make sure that not only can they keep their business afloat, and not only can they keep up with the rate of inflation, the best way to do that is by cutting expenses. And those of us who are employers, who have W-2 and 1099 employees or contractors, respectively, those of us, we know that the largest amount of our budget is all in payroll. Am I speaking to the choir or what? Or what? So how do we cut expenses? We cut payroll. So if you asking me for $20 to $25 an hour, but I come across somebody who's willing to do it for $15 an hour, who's going to get the job? See, we got to think about this stuff. Right? We got to think about this stuff. Oh, yes, Allison. That's right, to our moderator. And another thing we have to really consider, like Allison is saying, I'm not going to say all corporations, but there are a lot of corporations right now that only want 1099 employees. And they're not even employees, they're called contractors. Because when you have a 1099 as an employer, we're not entitled to tell you how to do your job. We can tell you what job we need done, and you're contracted to do it, but we cannot tell you how you need to do your job. See, when you are an employee, you are told how to do your job. And if you don't do your job as you are told, you will be terminated, period. But with the 1099 contractor, we just contract you for your skill set. Now we can still let you go, but we can't tell you how to do your job. So that's the difference, Allison. But you're absolutely right. There's a whole bunch of corporations popping up that only want the 1099 so they don't have to pay the taxes on you. You are responsible for your own taxes, and at least they get to keep more of their money. So what am I saying here? What am I saying here besides the obvious? So the obvious is the game has changed. Are you prepared? That's the obvious. The game has changed. Are you prepared? But here's where the smoke screen is up. Because in my opinion, and again, this is my opinion. In my opinion, what I feel is happening is both parties, political parties, are playing Russian roulette with our lives. With our lives. See, they understand that people are in fear. People are fearing evictions. People are fearing foreclosures. People are fearing repossessions of their vehicles. People are fearing loans defaulting. People are fearing credit card debts increasing and the interest that they will have to pay on top of the debt that they have racked up because of the situation they're in. People are fearing not being able to meet the bare essentials, something as simple as toilet tissue and food. They know this is happening. They know people are struggling. But yet, the country remains slowed or shut down in some cases. But yet, Some businesses are not even allowed to open yet, even if it's on a reduced capacity. They're not even allowed to open yet. But yet, some people who were furloughed originally have permanently lost their job because the business lost so much money, they are unable to reopen. But why do you think this is happening? Politically speaking, why do you think this is happening? You have one person that out of nowhere has found trillions of dollars to aid businesses, to aid the unemployed, to aid Americans who is making under X amount of dollars with the $1,200 stimulus. You have a president that has found trillions of dollars. But who do you think is going to pay for that? Who do you think is going to bear that burden? And then you have the other party who is highlighting the vulnerabilities of the disenfranchised on purpose so that they can make the other party look bad. And it's all a strategy. It's all a strategy, right? Holding up certain situations, highlighting stories all over media. Doesn't matter what kind of media, news media, print media, social media, all over media, highlighting the vulnerabilities of what population primarily? What population primarily? Our population. Our population. Everyone is talking about what we are going through and how our communities are hit the hardest and how we have been faced with the most devastating effects of this pandemic that we are in. But who is offering the solutions for our community? Let me know, but people, who's offering solutions for our community? Who's saying this is what we're going to do to help that community particularly, but yet they have no problem highlighting our challenges. They have no problem highlighting our vulnerabilities. They have no problem highlighting our disenfranchisement. No problem highlighting it. But here's what I have to say, that we have to get ready. With family, we have to get ready because no one is going to help us out of it. We have gotten ourselves so deep into the habit of asking for help and being ignored. Did you hear me? We have gotten ourselves into the habit of asking for help and being ignored. And what I want you guys to know, family, that this is not going to go away overnight. So you have to be prepared for another hit. You're not out of the woodworks. This $300 extra money and $400 in some states is not going to get you out of the woods. You got to be prepared. And I wish I can tell you to curb your spending habits, because it's easy to make that blanket statement that you got to spend less. And that's what you're going to hear a lot of people tell you, to curb your spending habits. But no one is talking about the rate of inflation on our community who has the hardest with unemployment. No one is talking about that. No one is talking about going into the supermarket and getting 2 items and it's totaling $100 just about. And I'm being facetious, but I think some of y'all know that I'm being for real. See, the argument for many people who are all about economics, people who are all about becoming independent, like I'm one of those people, right? So what I mean by that is people like me are generally the first people to say, well, that's why you got to have a plan B. Get your side hustle going on, right? Get your entrepreneur job going on. But when you are in a crisis, how effective is that discussion for you? Let's just be honest. Nate the Great is saying, thank you for that donation, brother. That is why Democrats and Republicans are not, hold on a second, the chat is going too fast, are not our friends. Oh, no, we have no friends. None is looking out for our community. Not even the so-called Congressional Black Caucus is for us. We are on our own. Oh, I'm about to get there. Oh, trust me. Thank you for being patient with the slow ride. I'm about to get there. I love to tell everyone, have a plan B. And not that that is not useful, not that that is not helpful information, but the plan B discussion works when you're not in a crisis. The plan B discussion works when you're not being re-triggered over and over again by the traumatic situation that you are in. The plan B discussion works when you have the funds to make it work, because it takes money to make money. That's right, Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis is saying two sides of the same coin. Sid, what's up, Sid? How you doing, brother? We're going to talk about you too, Sid. Sid is saying inflation always follow quantitative easing. Absolutely. Right? But here's the thing that we must do right now. My Black family, my ADOS family, my FBA family, my B1 family, my Pan-African family, we have to shift our mindset from passivity to proactivity. Y'all heard what I said, right? We got to shift our mindset. A lot of us are passive people. We're passive thinkers. We're passive in our behaviors. We're passive in our everyday lives. A lot of us, not all of us, a lot of us are some passive ass people. And we have to shift our thinking from being passive to being proactive, because it's going to get worse for us. Hear me and hear me clearly. It is going to get worse. You know how I know? Because it always gets worse. You know how I know? Because when white America catches a cold, Black America catches the flu. It is always going to be worse for us. But what are you doing to be prepared for this? Right? Because you got to understand, both parties know that this whole situation we are in is trauma producing. And here's the crazy part. The powers that are inflicting the trauma are aware of the consequences that's going to have on your life, the consequences that's going to have on an economy. They are very aware of what is happening. You got some states opening up like nothing happened, going back to work, right? And even though they may be getting some positive cases, a lot of them, listen, let's just tell the truth for what the truth is. There are some people that's going to be impacted, but the rate of death is not as high as they have been initially reporting. It's not. We have so many things right now that impacts our nation, and we stay open. We don't close. Now, I'm not saying not to be smart. I'm not saying not to take care of yourself. I take care of myself every day. I am just one of those people that don't go outside without a mask. And it's my way to not have to talk to people who know how. So I don't mind keeping my mask on. Don't come talk to me. Don't come close to me. I don't want to smell your breath, and I don't want to have a conversation with you. So I don't mind it. I don't mind it at all. But what about the people who don't have the wherewithal to hire private tutors into their home while they work and somebody's there to work with their children from homeschooling? Because I don't know about you guys, but some of the schools are not going back. They're all going to be remote. And some people have to get back to work or they're not going to survive. So who's going to watch those children? See, they understand the consequences of this. They understand what's going to happen, but who's speaking directly to the disenfranchised? Who is coming up with clear solutions to help those who are disenfranchised? Who's doing it? See, the ideal is always to keep us in vulnerable positions. That means they got to keep us in a position that requires us to beg for help. There's a difference between asking for help and begging for help. Until we raise our level of self-awareness, and that's by being informed of our history, that's by being informed by research, being informed by data, until we understand the game on the chessboard, we're not going to be able to see the bigger picture here. And I hope that in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to paint the bigger picture for you. Knowledge Seeker 78, thank you for that donation. Says, wear your mask and call out call out of work. The neighbors are watching the kids. Listen, that ain't true for everybody. Everybody don't have somebody to watch their kids. Everybody don't have somebody to watch their kids. And in some people in our community, like I said, we are in the barrel with a whole bunch of different people who are crabs, not just our own. So we got to understand. You call out of work. See, they got us in very vulnerable position. You call out of work. Some of your employees are waiting for your little black ass to call out of work so they can replace you. They don't care about your situation. They don't care that there's nobody to watch your children. And then some of your own neighbors are waiting for you to go to work and leave your children home alone so they can call the state on you as well. See, we got to understand this is a peculiar situation we are in, and we are vulnerable. We are vulnerable, right? Knowledge Seeker 78 saying, "Oh well." You see what I'm talking about? Oh well. You got to understand the kind of people who claim to be in your community who are against you. Oh well. You see that kind of insensitivity? That ain't cool. That ain't cool at all. You see the apathetic behavior? Right? And this is what I mean when I say we are up against too many people who don't have our best interests at heart. No, you're not insulting me because you don't know me or my lifestyle. So you damn sure ain't insulting me, Knowledge Seeker, not at all. You can't insult me. You can't. Right? But you are insulting people that I represent. And that's what's not cool. So when you are insulting my people, that ain't cool. That ain't cool. You know what I mean? That ain't cool at all. But I just want y'all to know the kind of people that are right in your circle. So when they hear somebody like me come on, or somebody like Michi come on, or whatever, Yvette Cornell, Tone, it doesn't matter. When they hear us come on, whoever the voice is, when they hear us come on, they get bothered. You got to ask yourself, why are they so bothered? Why are they so bothered? You got to ask yourself that kind of question. I see a lot of y'all engaging back and forth with these trolls and these agents and these skin folks. You got to ask yourself, why are they so bothered? Right? If we understand the strategies of division, right, we will actively move toward unifying. If we really understood the strategy that we're up against, we will unify on multiple levels. We will stay together politically, but we already know we can't do that. I'm about to get into that right now. Why? In the next 15 minutes of the show, I'm going to paint the picture for you why we can't do that. We will stand together economically. We already know we can't do that because so many people got a whitewash mindset. They're black white supremacists. We already know why we can't do that. And not only are they black white supremacists, they're not even armed with data or research. They spit what they hear on mainstream TV. That's all they regurgitate. They can't hold their own nuts in the conversation because they're uninformed. You can always know the people who are uninformed. It's clear. They get all emotional. They get reactive emotionally, but they cannot spit knowledge. They just regurgitate what they have heard somebody else say, but they cannot formulate new thoughts. And at the same time, many of us waste our time with those kind of people. You got to leave them right there. We can't even unite educationally. We have been put in a situation right now where many of us have been forced to educate our own children, of course, with the help of the school system that many people's children are not homeschooled, are co-op schools, right? My child is co-op school, right? So we educate our own. We depend on our own to educate our own. However, the people who are forced in a situation to educate their own children, by the time this ban lifts, they're going to abandon that for whatever reasons, and they're going to go right back to sending their children into the lion's den. We can't even unify on that issue. We are in a perfect position right now to set it up to educate our own. We're doing it right now. But how many of us are going to follow through on that? How many of us? We can't even unify financially. We trust everybody else, and it's proven the way we spend money as a community. We trust everybody else with our dollar that they take out of our community so that they can have the best of life, so that they can live in the best community, so that their children can go to the best schools. We take money out of our community and invest it into other people's community, but we won't even invest it into our own. How many times have I had to prove people wrong when they say, well, I don't know, there's no black accountants, there's no black doctors, there's no black lawyers, there's no black this, there's no black that, and I find all the people for them. Here's another referral, here's another, because we're all out there. But are we doing the due diligence? Are we doing the extra work to connect with our own community to make sure we circulate black dollars? Are we actively doing it? That is something that we can do. And there's so much division in our community with that as well. Why? Why? We don't even want to, for some of us, not even all of us, but some of us don't even want to unify with each other socially. We want to insult one another. We want to be class divided. Right? Class divided. We got the college educated against those who are not formally educated. We have colorism. We have the light skin against the dark skin. The stupidest things that I see all the time. We have an economic divide. We have those who think that they have versus those who do not have. All these divisions. All these divisions. But here's what we have to do. Here's an area right now for the last 10 minutes. I'm about to get into this and I'm out. Here's an area where we definitely have to improve on, and this is my opinion. We need to redefine the concept of Black intellectuals, because the Black intellectuals right now that we are following, that we are listening to, and they're propping up a lot of BS in front of us that we are going for. Those Black intellectuals do not have your voice in mind. They do not have your representation in mind. They are not here for you. They are there for themselves. We have too many of them. And those are the ones who are stuck in the civil rights era. Listen to what I'm saying, hear me clearly. That's cool that happened in our time in history. And we have to understand that we are up against a new world order right now. So that same outdated mindset that we keep arguing with and against is no longer going to work. That same outdated mindset continues to push for things, i.e. integration, right? Continues to push for things that has harmed us. And anybody who comes up against that age-old mindset are gaslighted. They're divisive. No, baby, we're functioning in a new world order. We know in today's society what we need to get to where we're going. But it's those people who are stuck, who can't get up out that mindset. They have a cultural lag. They are behind. They're not embracing the changes because they are still operating under the same belief system that is not appropriate for 2020. And the very people, the Black intellectuals that are considered the leaders, right? The very people that we are following, what you must understand is those very people are in bed with the very people that keep oppressing you. They are in bed with the very people who do not actively is the key word, care about our issues. Namely, the persistently growing wealth gap. See, our situation right now in this pandemic would be different if our wealth gap wasn't so big. We have nothing to draw from. We would not be in this position if we had wealth. We would not be in its position if we were not the subjects of race-based policies that have systematically harmed us. Thank you for that donation, Aesthetics Guru. She says, Dr. Shonna, I joined the line and you are preaching. I'm trying not to preach. I'm just trying to tell the truth. So we are listening to people who have a skin tone, who's telling us what's best for us, but they're not offering any solutions. They're not speaking to our issues and our problems. They're not telling us how they're going to close the wealth gap. They're not telling us how they're going to dismantle race-based policies that have systematically oppressed us and harmed us. They're not talking about those issues. But we're following them and we're believing in them. That's dangerous. That's called groupthink. And you know, in psychology, groupthink is bad. We keep looking toward politicians who don't like us. We keep looking towards them to save us. Let me ask y'all a question. Because I'm going to ask y'all the question that so many non-critical thinkers come on my different feeds to ask me, and I ignore 99% of them because they're non-critical in their thought process. But let me ask you a question. See, because the question that they like to come on and say to me, well, I hear what you're saying, but Dr. Shonna, the question is who you're voting for. They don't get it. That's that post-civil rights mindset I'm talking about. They don't get it. They don't get it. And those same people that I asked, when I asked them, do you know who the majority and the minority leaders are on the floor? Most of them don't even know. And do you know why you should know who the majority leaders are on the floor? Like, for example, in the Democratic Party, which has the majority, the leaders are Steny Hoyer and Jim Clyburn, right? Those are the Democratic leaders on the floor. The Republican minority leaders are Kevin McCarthy and Steve Scalise, however you pronounce his last name. They're on the floor, right? Do you know why that matters? See, a lot of them, they don't even know why that matters. They don't know why they shouldn't know who has the voice on the floor, right? And here's the crazy part. We're listening to a bunch of Black politicians that seems to be more loyal to the Democratic Party than being loyal to the needs and interests of Black people. And we continue to put these people in positions. Did you hear what I say? They're more loyal to the party than they are to the needs of Black people. More loyal to the party, meaning I'm not going to listen to what you're saying. You don't matter. Meaning I hear what you're saying, but it ain't going to make it to the floor. It ain't going to make it to the floor. We're not going to have an open discussion on the floor about it. Because if I do that, I might not get voted back in. If I do that, I might lose some cool points. I may not get the political power I'm looking for. If I do that, that means I'm going to be outcasted. I'm going to be the one that's singled out, and I'm not in for doing any of that stuff. See, here's my problem with the current Black intellects. My problem is the current Black intellects that pose as the political voice for Black people. They bring Black voters who are uninformed into the daunting trap of electoral benign neglect. Let me break that down for you. They bring Black voters into the daunting trap of getting their vote to solicit their vote for their parties, and they give them nothing in return for it. Benign neglect. You voted for them and now you get neglected. Your voice is not heard. It turns into electoral benign neglect because they do not push for programs or policies that are designed for us. Nobody wants to talk about us. They have masked things about us with nice words like people of color. Right? That's how they mask things. But they don't sit down and fight for us. But for some reason, we, the people, are not holding them accountable. See, the goal, you got to understand this when it comes to the current Black intellectuals that represent, so-called represent the Black community. You got to understand the reason why I say the Black community, because they don't represent all of us. They know their divisions. They know who they're ignoring. See, you got to understand the people that get hurt the most, usually their voices are expendable. They want their votes, but not their voice. They want their votes, but not their voice. Once they get their votes, they become expendable. Tell me where I'm lying. Tell me where I'm lying. You got to understand that the goal for forcing, and yes, I'm using the word forcing, the goal for forcing Black voters to the Democratic Party is for the Black intellectuals' own political gain and for their own political career. It is a resume builder because they're going to be remembered and revered for bringing Black voters in, while the Black voters get nothing in return. But you got to understand people when they ask me, what's the decision? Who you're voting for? The people who don't listen. Listen, you got to understand our strategy. You got to understand the strategy of, let's say, ADOS, the strategy of FBA, the strategy of the B1 community. You got to understand the strategy of some Pan-Africans. You got to understand, I want to say all, but that's not true. I'm going to say some. But you got to understand the strategy is different. See, because our strategy, and here's what you need to hear. Our strategy is not to vote. That's what people keep getting messed up. They like to gaslight us. They like to gaslight us and saying, if you don't vote Democrat, then you're voting for Trump. You're an ass for thinking that way. That means you're not a critical thinker. You're not a critical thinker because we never said that we're not voting. Number one, we never said that. But we understand the strategy of employing electoral instability. Do you know what that is? Electoral, write that down. Electoral instability. We know the strategy behind that. We know that our strategy will eventually force Democrats to the table to talk to us about the issues facing our people directly. Right? We understand that. See, the only people that I need to be concerned about now, who you need to be concerned about is different. I need to be concerned about is those in my state who is running for the U.S. Senate. I need to be concerned about those in my state who is running for the U.S. House of Representatives. And if I ask half the people that like to come on and ask me dumbass questions, and I ask them who's running for Senate in your state, who is running for the House of Representatives in your state, who is running for judicial positions in your state, who is running for the sheriff in your state. When I ask these kind of questions, a lot of their asses don't fucking know. You know why? Because they only show up during presidential elections. And if you're one of those people who only show up during presidential elections, you can't talk to me. You can't talk to me. It's just that simple. Who's filling those positions in your state this upcoming election? And do you know what they represent? See, when we talk about electoral instability, that means we're shaking up the presidential candidate because you're no longer going to continue to abuse and use our Black vote. Thank you for joining the community, Sheree. Welcome to business coaching. I can't wait for you to get started. Right? We know what electoral instability does. It's a strategy. is a well thought out, researched strategy that's backed by data and facts. But these are the people that don't read. These are the people that don't care nothing about research because they find research boring. These are the people that don't know how to analyze data. So they want to come and spit to you stuff that don't matter, stuff that are all anecdotal conversations and anecdotal evidence. There's no data that backs it. There's no research that back it. They just love to talk about things because we have been invested in emotional politics. I am not here for emotional politics. I don't care about your emotions. I'm here for change. Period. We have to understand that the conversation must change. The conversation needs to become specific. We need to make clear, concise demands. What are the demands on the table right now by your so-called Black intellectual and your so-called Black leaders and your so-called Black politicians? What are the demands right now on the table that you can tell me that is for our community? Who's going to tell me? I'm reading. Thank you for that donation, Latu. He's saying, I graduated today. So happy I can watch it live in full attention until I start university in October. Black reparations matter. Absolutely. Congratulations to your graduation. I love it. Congratulations to you. And yes, Black reparations matter. I'm asking you guys, right? Sid says the untalented 10th. You already know it, brother. Somebody's saying, is she Black Lives Matter? You clearly don't know me. Because if you knew me, you won't ask a dumbass question like that. So why don't the people in the community tell this Harry John or Harry John, whoever the hell the person is, and my Black Lives Matter? Go ahead with that. You and your Black lives, go over there and do something different. The hell is Black Lives Matter asking for? What is their clear demand? What is their clear strategy? And whose Black life are they talking about? Go ahead and sit down with that shit. Right? Go ahead and sit down with that dumb shit. Let me tell you something, y'all. Hear what I'm saying. The relationship some of us have with Black politicians that are more concerned about their celebrity status, are more concerned about their career, are more concerned about being liked by other people. The relationship that some of us have with Black intellectuals who are on the same road as some of these Black politicians, the relationship that we have must change. In order for you to get what you want, in order for your vote to matter, you have to start holding these people accountable. You got to start holding these people accountable. Who's holding these people accountable? Who's holding them accountable? Or are we putting these people in positions and then walking away and crying of the systematic injustices we still experience, and no one is holding these Black politicians accountable? And the only thing we're doing is re-voting them back in simply because they're Black. Or the white politicians that like to use the I got Black friends line. We already know that's a racist line in and of itself. I got Black friends. If it really, you wouldn't even have to say you got Black friends if you wasn't saying some bullshit before you make that statement. We already know that that statement comes after bullshit happens. I'm not racist. I have Black friends. After they did some racist, stupid, systematic, oppressive bullshit, then they make these kind of statements. And we keep voting those people in because they like to dance with us or do the wobble with us or put some hot sauce on their greens. And that's all we need to see, because some of us are bent on emotional politics. Right? Some of us are bent on emotional politics. We like to see things that look good and make us feel good. As my brother Nick says, Nick is not in the room. I don't see Nick in the room, but Nick says, feel good politics. That's what we like. It feels good to see a Black face. It feels good to be around a white person that says they support Black people. That feels good. But no one's asking how. No one's asking what specifically is going to happen for us. That's the kind of conversations we should be having. That's what holding them accountable looks like. But let it be one of our asses in our community that messed up. Maybe we forgot to give you 4 chicken wings and we only gave you 3 chicken wings. You'll be the first one. I'm not going to that Black business. Fuck that Black business. I'm tired of Black businesses. They need to get themselves together. We want to go all down the list of all the shit that Black businesses are not doing to hold them accountable. We don't have that same kind of energy and drive for the people that have the power to effect change in our lives that can hurt us for generations to come. For generations to come. All that energy you got, all that muscle you got to insult your brothers and sisters publicly. I'm not saying not to hold people accountable. I'm saying you publicly insult them. You look to go viral insulting them, but you don't even have that drive when it comes to the Black faces in positions of power that offer you nothing, that vote against your interests, that has voted for laws that have systematically hurt you. You don't have that same energy and that drive because you are not aware of what is going on. That's right, Curtis. Curtis said that's the white ice is better effect. Absolutely. So the conversation must change. The conversation has to be specific. The relationship with political and Black intellects must change. The relationship has to change. See, because here's what we know about politicians. Politicians, especially all politicians, but we're talking about the Democratic Party who take our votes for granted, right? They take our votes for granted because historically, according to the people that have the post-civil rights era mindset, you know, the ones that have the outdated mindsets, y'all know who I'm talking about. Historically, they have just handed over Black votes. No questions asked. Democrat, I'm going to vote. Right down the ballot. All the way from the presidency, all the way down to local. Democrat, no questions asked. No demands made. No quid pro quo. No asking for anything in exchange. We're just going to give them our vote. So historically, Democrats have depended on that. They don't got to do much. They only got to show up to your church during elections time to say, praise the Lord, thank the Lord. I love the Lord. Now vote for me. They show up at your neighborhood picnic, eat one plate or one bite. They walk around with a plate of chicken, some baked macaroni and cheese, and some collard greens on a plate just so they can show for optics that they're diverse and they like soul food. They may take a couple of bites of the baked macaroni and cheese because they're still trying to master it, right? So they might take a couple of bites of the baked macaroni and cheese, and then they shake a couple of hands, take some photos for optics, and then throw that goddamn plate in the garbage and keep it moving. And we say, oh, he'll right by me. He'll right by me. He had Bernita's macaroni and cheese. He'll right by me. The boy had some collard greens on his plate too. I didn't think he was going to like the collard greens, but he had them on his plate. I appreciate him. He cared about our community. Make no demands. Made no demands, didn't ask him his plan for this, didn't shake him down on nothing. No demands whatsoever. See, he has become, or whoever the candidate is, not just a he, that party has become dependent upon the Black vote. Dependent upon them, because that has been something historically they have gotten hands down without having to do anything for it. Because politicians, they love predictability. What they hate is instability. So you want to get them to listen, you got to make them unstable. That's what electoral instability means. You got to make them fear losing your vote. It's just like a bad relationship, right? Come on, y'all. It's like a bad relationship. Here it is. You're trying to talk to your partner over and over again about the things you need to change. You try to have a conversation about your partner in so many different ways. You even go to couples therapy. You sit down with Dr. Shonna couples therapy and you put it all out there. But until you implement boundaries and consequences, nothing changes. Until you let that mofo or that heifer know what's up, nothing changes. Because the bad behavior will continue because you have done nothing. Understand what I'm saying? Who's going to change? If you let me get away with murder over and over again, and the only thing you do is complain, but you do nothing, there are no consequences, why should I change? But what happens? What happens when not only do you set the boundary, but you follow through with the consequences? It is not until you cut a mofo off that they start to act right. And sometimes they act right too damn late. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. That's what it is. We got to understand that we are in a relationship. And as of right now, the relationship has been lopsided. The relationship has been lopsided. And too many of us, the black intellectuals, right? The black political pundits, too many of us don't want to upset the relationship because our bills are getting paid. So we stay in fucked up situations because our bills are getting paid. We stay with the person that we know is cheating on us, that don't give us nothing in return because they offer stability or false stability. But they bring us all types of havoc. Got chicks calling your house. You got to go to the doctor to get checked for STDs. Come on now. 1 minute you was herpes negative, now you herpes positive. Come on now. And you stay in the situation with them because you feel like ain't nobody else going to want me. That's how we act with the Democratic Party. That is how we are acting. We feel like we can't push back. We can't set boundaries. We can't render consequences because who's going to pay our bills? Who's going to make sure we are all right? You're not all right now. What you mean who's going to make sure you're all right? You suffering right now. That's right, Soul Man. Soul Man said we got accustomed to the abuse. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's right, Sonia, an abusive relationship. Right? And even like the Democratic Party, just like a bad relationship, they like predictability. They like that they can stay out till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, not let you know what they're doing, who they with, and where they're going, and then come home and still have breakfast in the morning. They like predictability. What they don't like is instability. So what we are doing is interrupting the instability and is making a whole bunch of Negroes uncomfortable. We are interrupting their predictability. We are interrupting their stability. We are shaking things up, and people are in their bags. The people who are in your bags are the aunties that stayed in their abusive ass relationship that would tell you, what are you going to leave for? What about the children? They ain't right. He just being a man. That's what they do, baby. You got to learn how to make yourself happy. You don't want to struggle out here by yourself. Those are the same type of people, these political pundits and these black intellectuals are the aunties that tell women to stay in abusive ass relationships. Right? They tell you go speak to the elders. And the elders are miserable. Bunch of old bats and miserable. They don't even talk to their own husband respectfully. And they want you to stay in your bad situation. That's how we are with the Democratic Party. That's who we are with the Democratic Party. But no, baby. You will no longer depend on the black votes by offering us nothing. That is no longer going to happen. You will have to work for our votes. It doesn't mean that we don't vote for the positions that affect our state directly. You gotta vote for your Senate. You gotta vote for your U.S. House of Representatives. You gotta vote for your sheriff if you have that voting near your town. You gotta vote for your judges. You gotta vote for your superintendent of schools. You gotta remain in the local elections all throughout the year. It doesn't just come every 4 years. It happens throughout the year. You have to remain active in those areas. But when it comes to the presidential election, we are sending a message that you are no longer going to whip our asses and offer us nothing in return. So I want to say to all the people that want to come on our feeds and ask us dumb ass questions. Like, well, what are you saying the results should be? Well, who are you saying we should vote for? Those stupid ass questions and comments. I'll say to you people, you got to understand that those of us who know what's up, we are not apathetic. We are not apathetic. All right. Our focus is simply on getting our voices heard. We have been trying to do this for a very long time. We have been trying to do this before the primaries. We have been trying to do this during the primaries, and I know some of you don't even know why the primaries matter, but that's not what this video is about. I can do another video so you can understand why the primaries matter, so you can understand why the primaries is where you should be strategic at, but that's not this video today. We have been trying to get them to speak. They know who we are. They're writing all types of articles about us. We're in the Washington Post. We're in the Times. We're all over the place. They know who we are. They're hearing our voice. They know what we want, but they're choosing to ignore it because so many of you Negroes are afraid. So you stay in an abusive relationship. And then you get mad at us because we're interrupting your comfort. I know a lot of people say comfortability, but comfortability is not a word, by the way. We're interrupting your comfort. And that makes a lot of you guys nervous, and we understand it. And we can't focus on you right now. You can go to therapy for that. We can't focus on you right now. We understand why you're uncomfortable. We understand why there was a division between House Negroes and Field Negroes. We understand why House Negroes did not want the Field Negroes to revolt. We understand why they were the rats. They were the tattletales. We understand why they were a bunch of goddamn snitches. We understand why that happened. You're comfortable. You're afraid of how you're going to survive without your abusive partner. That's right, Sean Scott. Sean said our voices heard and our needs met. Point blank, period. As I go ahead and depart from here, what's up? Stay blessed. Stay blessed is talking to Sid. Stay blessed gets it. Stay balanced gets it. He says, or she says, I'm going to look strategic non-voting and how that's worked out in the past. Good looking. Yes, you should look that up. Right? Electoral instability is the same as strategic non-voting. Doesn't mean that you're not going to vote. It just means that you're sending a direct message to the Democratic Party or to the party that keeps abusing you. You're sending a direct message. You're setting a boundary and a consequence. That's what that means. It doesn't mean you're not going to vote. So don't get distracted by all the gaslighters out there that look like you, that's telling you that not voting is not the answer, because they don't want to hear what we are saying, because they're afraid of their comfort being shaken up. That's what they're afraid of. Listen, we're already getting screwed. But I tell you one thing, pull up, talk to the people that matter. Stop talking to these political pundits. Stop talking to these so-called Black intellectuals that only know how to use big, long out words that you don't use in everyday language, but they cannot connect with the people. Stop talking to the Black elite. They don't have your experience. They over there telling you to rock the vote while they living in an $11 million house. They telling you to rock the vote. They telling you to show it where it matters. And little do you know, their asses are telling you to show it to where it matters, because they got paid by the Democratic Party to say that, but they turn around and vote Republican because they vote in their financial interests. Oh, yes, baby. Trust and believe it happens. It happens. And here you guys being fooled by some of these clowns. fooled by some of these clowns. But here's what I want to say to you guys, and I'm out. We do not have any permanent friends. Hear me when I say that, write it down. We do not have any permanent friends. We do not have any permanent enemies. The only thing we have are permanent interests. And if you don't have our interests, you don't have our vote. It's just that simple. No permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests. That's what we're talking. We're talking interests. That's it. We're not talking about who got the best car, who's dressed the best. We don't care. We're talking interests. We're not talking empty promises like the 1978 Full Employment Act. Y'all can go ahead and look it up. Empty promises like the 1978 Full Employment Act, where political people were in positions that should have represented those people that policy was symbolically created for. They should have been representing them, but they did not follow through, and they allowed that stuff to fall through the cracks and resulted in nothing. We only talking permanent interest. That's it. Right? That's right, Sonia. Our interest gets our votes. Somebody said we need more time on here. I'm done. I'm done, family. That is the end of my shows. Somebody said no perms, we natural. Yes, cut the check. Absolutely. Right? That's right. I love you guys. All you guys be great. You know, when I come back on, I'm only coming on when I have something to say. So make sure you go ahead and hit subscribe to this channel. And when the little bell comes up, hit that bell and select all so you can be notified when I'm going live. Go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. And you know what? For those who like to be bamboozled, you can go ahead and give it a thumbs down because it's all about the algorithm. The only thing I want you to do is interact. For my ladies who are coming to my Saturdays class, go ahead to theiriswomen.com and register for the relationship class. We're going to talk about how to move forward in that situation in a healthy manner, right? No more victimization. We're not victims. No more fear. We're not afraid. So ladies, I'll see you guys all on Saturday. And to all my community members that's in the business coaching class, that's in the relationship coaching class, in the social media influencer classes, you all will have your due videos by the time Sunday comes. I'm hitting every last one of you guys up, giving you what you pay for at a nominal cheap fee, right? Giving you all what you pay for. As you know, bring a pen and paper because my content is packed and it brings about results. Peace and blessings to all of you, family. Have a great night.